In this video, I want to share 6 landscape design mistakes that I commonly see homeowners make and how to actually fix those. My name is Amy, and over at prettypurpledoor.com, I help home gardeners design landscapes that are uniquely you. So let's get into these tips and solutions. Mistake number 6 is a lack of planning. And this is 100% the most common mistake that I see homeowners make, not creating a plan. Believe me when I say that I have a lot of friends that are landscape designers, and I don't know a single one of them that would not create a plan for you if they were coming to your space. So that should tell you something. If the professionals are going in there and they still need a plan, it's likely that you're going to need one in order to accomplish all of your goals. I think that the lack of planning comes from a lack of not really knowing what to do to actually plan your landscape. So I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video that goes over the 7 steps that I would do if I was designing a landscape from scratch. And those steps are: number 1, gathering inspiration photos and pictures of gardens that you like. Number 2 is determining your garden style. Number 3 is creating a scale plan or a drawing of your landscape. Number 3 is taking a site inventory of your yard's conditions and features. Number 5 is creating a wish list of all the beautiful items that you want in your own landscape. Number 6 is actually drawing out some designs on that plan that you've already created to scale. And number 7 is finally researching plants and different features that you want to put into your landscape that are going to fit your style and your color scheme and what you really want out of your landscape. So those are the 7 steps that I would recommend that you go through, and check out that article for more detail on each of the steps. And that leads us to mistake number 5, which is not hiring a pro or studying landscape design in any way. And I think that by watching this video, you've already kind of proved that you're not making this mistake because you're trying to learn a little bit more about landscape design. So awesome for you. I'm really excited to help you on this journey. Now, I'll always recommend consulting with a local landscape designer, someone that's in your area. You're really going to get a lot more bang for your buck if you get somebody local that can actually come to your space and you can talk to them and get some ideas from them. A lot of people will do consults that are free or very low cost. And even if you plan on DIYing the space, getting that initial consultation and just getting the information from the designer will either, 1, convince you that you need the designer, or 2, it will give you a good idea that you're on the right track in your plan. So I definitely recommend it. And I think that a lot of people are missing the boat with this. And at the very least, if you're not going to work with a landscape designer directly, I do recommend studying and learning a little bit more about landscape design. So I have a lot of products that can help you along the way. The first one that I would recommend is my garden style mood board workshop. And this is best if you don't have any idea where you want to start. You don't know how to make a plan. You don't know really what you want. You don't know how to define your style. It's a really great base workshop that you can take that will guide you through that process so you can get all of your ideas down on paper and create a beautiful mood board to give you an idea of what you want your space to look and feel like. Second is my Plant Perfect activity book. And this book is really great if your yard is a completely blank slate and you want to design a functional and a beautiful landscape, but it's really large and kind of empty and you don't know how to divide it into different spaces and rooms and you don't know where to plant and where to put the patio. This book is really fun. It's an activity book, so it's meant to be drawn in and you do all of the activities, and that will give you a really good plan for your landscape. And finally, my Design Your 4-Season Garden course. This is my most popular product. It's best for if you're ready to choose plants and design your garden space so that it looks great all year long in every single season. So you can create gorgeous mixed borders and have that look and feel that you're really going for, and learn sort of how plants bloom and what goes good together and what layers that you need in your landscape. So those are 3 products that I would highly recommend if you want to DIY your space, or again, just get a consult from a landscape designer to make sure that you're on the right track with your project. And you might even really enjoy working with that person and decide to hire them. So definitely don't skip this step. Mistake number 4 is a lack of focal points or flow in a landscape. And landscape design, focal points are plants or objects that stand out from the background and draw attention to different areas of your space. And a landscape that's lacking focal points, it may appear disjointed or lacking that flow that you are used to seeing in a very well-designed space. It kind of guides you through the space and gives you things to look at, and it makes everything feel really cohesive and flow together. So incorporate some focal points to draw attention to different areas of your landscape. You can use sculptures, you can use water features, you can do a feature planting or an opposite color to draw the eye to different areas of the space. And it establishes a natural flow by arranging these different elements that will guide someone through the space. If you're not sure how to use focal points, I will leave a link in the description below that takes you to an article that will talk more about focal points. I also have an ebook that will teach you everything about where to place them and what types of focal points are best for different situations and sizes and widths and narrowness of yards. So definitely check out that focal points ebook as well. The third really common landscape design mistake that I see homeowners make is creating walkways that are way too narrow. And a narrow walkway can really impede movement and detract from the functionality of your design and your outdoor space. So I always recommend expanding walkways to allow comfortable passage and make sure that those walkways are clean, open, and safe for people to walk through. For really high traffic areas, such as a walkway that's leading to your doorway, you want to try to accommodate at least two people walking side by side, shoulder to shoulder on that walkway. And for that, the minimum spacing that you would need would be 4 feet wide. So it's actually quite a bit wider than you'll see on normal walkways. For a more intimate walkway where you want someone to explore maybe a backyard secret garden or something like that, you can go a lot smaller, like 2 feet, but it's always important to think about the traffic flow and how congested the area is. And, what if somebody's carrying a bag or has a stroller or something with them? And how can you make that walkway as accommodating and as clean and as welcoming as possible? So when in doubt, make those walkways wider than you anticipate, and I don't think you'll be disappointed with that decision. Landscape design mistake number 2 is incorrect tree placement. And when trees are placed correctly, they can be such a beautiful and functional element of your home landscape. But very often they are placed incorrectly. And I'm super guilty of this too. When I put my first tree in my front yard, I planted it and I forgot to look up at the power lines. So I now have a full grown tree that's actually impeding the power lines and I have to prune and trim it regularly. So proper placement and location of trees is very important. It can affect the balance of your landscape. It can affect how things flow together. It can affect views from your windows inside. It can affect the whole aesthetic of your home from the exterior. So very important. And you can use trees as focal points in your landscape. They can do a lot of things for your landscape, such as breaking or blocking wind through your landscape. So you can actually use a tree to block that wind. You can use it to muffle or reduce noise if you have a noisy neighbor or road noise that you want to block. You can also do it to create privacy from those neighbors, not just noise, but actual physical, visible privacy. You can also use trees strategically placed to cool and shade your home at different times of the year, depending on the aspect in which direction your home faces. And you can also create just a beautiful view and a nice focal point to enjoy. There's lots of trees that have beautiful 4-season interests. I have lots of videos on this channel that you can check out to pick the right tree for you. And if you're ready to learn how to place the trees, check out that Plant Perfect activity book that I talked about earlier. I have a whole section in that describes how you can place trees properly in your landscape for different scenarios. And I think you'll find that really helpful too. And number 1 is to forget about storage or utility areas in their landscape. So usually when I work with a client, I will recommend that they list out all of their storage needs before we even get started with the project. You have to designate areas for your tools, for supplies, for equipment. Do you need a shed or garage to store those items? How big does that actually need to be? That's way easier to incorporate these items ahead of time instead of having to try to incorporate a shed for tool storage after you've already designed the space and you have plants planted. So make sure you think about this ahead of time. Another thing that I really like to do too is to integrate functional hidden storage and utility spaces within the landscape. So maybe there's a spot where you can put that pile of mulch behind a row of trees or tucked behind something. And when you have these functional areas of your space that are hidden, they're not going to look bad, but you can always have that compost or mulch or other stuff that you need to have in your landscape to work on it without it actually being in the way. So definitely think about what tools and what items you need to store, how big of a storage area you need to have, and what other utility areas you can include or incorporate into your design that are sort of secret and hidden from the beauty that others will see, but totally functional as well. It's like having closets for your house. You never want to not have enough storage space, and that goes the same for your garden space too. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if you have other tips for landscape design, or if one of these on the list resonated with you. In the meantime, you can check out my other mistake/tip videos. I'll leave a link to them right here, and I'll see you over in that next video.